Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. I'm gonna get into this false doctrine with the so-called antichrist, because this actually comes from those movies, Left Behind movie series. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was a little child or whatever, that they made us watch this madness or whatever. So that's what Jake. Uh, that's where they get all these stuff from, Edomites, and that's why Jake is all messed up, spiritually blinded today. And they don't want to change. Jake is comfortable in these lies. They don't want to. They just comfortable. They don't want to change. They're happy with these lies. They content in their own captivity. So I'm gonna get into this knuckle here right here. Jake is just a train wreck, man. So I'm just inside of a mind of a Christian that has been institutionalized in America with this antichrist thing. I'm gonna get into it and show you what that's talking about. It's not gonna be no one figure that you've been shown in the movies that's labeled to so-called antichrist that's going to be doing miracles and all this other madness. Let's get into this video.
What I believe is the truth. Okay, myth number one is that the antichrist
It's lock you. My bad.
will be some.
So let me say this too. This is how dumb Jake is. So Jake supposed to be correcting the myths, right? But he didn't. This ninja didn't go a step further and look at the whole antichrist myth. I don't get you, Jakes, man. You Jakes are fucked up, man. See?
Obviously evil figure. Many Christians think that the Antichrist will be immediately recognizable like some terrifying villain. The Antichrist is going to appear to be very wise, peaceful, powerful, and even admirable at first. Now, the second myth that we need to debunk is that the Antichrist will be a political figure only. So many Christians think that the Antichrist will just be a political figure, but he'll be much more, and he will use spiritual deception to draw people into false worship. Okay, now
And you see how Jake get into the folly. Jake is full of folly and ignorance. Let's keep going.
the third myth, the Antichrist will come from America. People have proposed that maybe Barack Obama was the Antichrist. Some are convinced that it's Donald Trump. But the truth is, none of these men are the Antichrist. The Bible doesn't even mention America or any nation from the West, for that matter. By the time Jesus returns, America may not even be relevant. The most important and most misunderstood myth of all is that Christians will be here to identify the Antichrist. This is perhaps the greatest myth of all. I believe that the church will be raptured.
There you go. So all this is Christianity. They got this from the Left Behind movies. I'm gonna get into that and show you kind of how Jake has been indoctrinated. They don't know Jake is all fucked up. I'm just telling you what it is, and that's why this doctrine is only for the elect. They the only ones can snap out this spell. So let's go here first. I'm gonna keep it simple. In the rapture, that's a false doctrine as well. So right here is where Jake get all this shit from. You know what I'm saying? Left Behind movie series. You know, all these Christianity propaganda movies to push these false doctrines and put it in your mind, to create these narratives. So right here, if you know, you know. If you don't, you might want to look into it. But if you grew up in a Christian church, you know about this, let me just get into it, man. It says the original Left Behind movie trilogy, Left Behind the movie, Left Behind 2, and Tribulation Force, that's where they get all this stuff from, and Left Behind World at War, was created by Cloud 10 Pictures and was based on the best-selling Left Behind novel series, people don't know this, by authors Tim LaHaye. LaHaye? Let me show you who this guy is. He's Edomite. So right here, Timothy Francis LaHaye was an American Baptist evangelical Christian minister and political activist who wrote more than 85 books, both non-fiction and fiction, including the Left Behind series. Edomites, put this shit in your head. And this other Edomite, Jerry B. Jenkins. Right here. It says Jerry Bruce Jenkins is an American writer. He is best known for the Left Behind series written with Tim Hay. Jenkins also writes the novels following the TV series about Jeeves the Chosen. See, you see all this crazy shit, these Christians, Edomite Christians, that's put these enchantments in your head. We can tell you all day though, but Jake don't get it. Right here. This shit came out of books that Edomites put together and they put it into movies to put these enchantments on you. Matter of fact, let me show you something. Let's go here. If you some brothers and sisters might not ever heard of this, man. Let me show you where they get this from. 1 second, Salakia. It says Left Behind film series. Left Behind is an American religious thriller series based on the Left Behind book series by these two Edomites. The series consists of 5 films and 2 spin-offs. It says the first 3 films were produced by Cloud 10 Pictures and directed by Vic, so on and so forth. Blah, 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 blah. It said the film received mostly, blah, blah, blah. It says in the 2014 film Left Behind starring Nicolas Cage, rebooted Salakia, the series. It was followed by Left Behind: The Rise of the Antichrist. Do you hear this? With an entirely different cast. It says separately Vanish. It says Left Behind Next Generation 2016 tells the story of the rapture. There you go. You see all this stuff came into, it was created, it was made up, it was manufactured, and they put these enchantments on Jake. Jake don't do no fucking study. And you can do your own research to go into it more. Let's go here, man. So there ain't gonna be no one Antichrist on the scene doing miracles, doing all the folly that you've been taught. No. Let me prove this to you. And this scripture right here is gonna kill this false doctrine. It says 1 John, let me find, I think it's 2:15, if I'm not mistaken. That's Slovakia. Let me find this real quick. Right up, 1 John 2:18. And that word, the phrase antichrist, this comes up 5 times in the Bible. And when you actually go into the word, it'll break the witchcraft. And you actually know where these false doctrines come from. Antichrist mean against. And then a Mashiach, which would be the Messiah. So somebody that's against the Messiah is an antichrist. It's not this mythological name character that they got behind it. It says 1 John 2:18, little children. It says, it is the last time, as we have heard, that Antichrist shall come. Check this out. Even now there are many antichrists. You hear this? That cuts it right there. So it's many, the Christian church is antichrist. You know what I'm saying? They're against the Messiah, the real Messiah. Let's go to this word antichrist. And you'll get it. That's why I say be many antichrists. That people, against the Messiah, and pretty much the whole world against the Messiah. It says, number 1, the adversary of the Messiah, right? So adversaries in the plural sense, because there's many antichrists, and that's in a plural form, right? So the word antichrist has been one of those words, like the word Lucifer. You people think that's talking about Satan. It's not talking about what you know as the spiritual demon Satan. That's actually talking about the king of Babylon, and that's a whole other breakdown. But that's a human adversary, and it's really talking about these Edomites, Illuminati, and the president of Babylon. But that's a whole nother lesson. But to get back into this cuts it right here. 1 John 2:18, little children, it is the last time that you have heard that Antichrist shall come. Even now there are many antichrists, and that just means against the Messiah, whereby we know that it is the last time. Salakia. It says 1 John 2:19. Matter of fact, I want to read another 1 John 1 and 22, that's the one I'm looking for too. It says 1 John 2 and 22. It said, who is a liar, but he that denied Yahushua HaMashiach is Hamashiach. He is antichrist that denied the Father and the Son. So this is talking about human people. It's not talking about what you've been taught. You know what I'm saying? And at this time, it was a great persecution going on with the Roman Empire. This was the Edomites coming from the Greek kingdom with Alexander the Freak, the Greek, right? And then you had the secession of when the Greek Empire fell, you had the revival of that empire was doing Rome. These are Edomites. That's why you got something called the Greco-Roman era. So it's many people against the Messiah. The whole world pretty much against the Messiah. So it ain't just one figure that you've been taught. Let's keep going. Matter of fact, let's go here. This is the goddamn Antichrist. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get into it. It says the concept of the Antichrist in Christianity is drawn from, see these words of confusion, Jewish traditions like the book of Daniel, the New Testament. I'm going to get into that another day. The early Christian writings, key biblical references include Daniel, little horn, the false Christ, the false prophets in Matthew and Mark. The man of sin in 2 Thessalonians, that's what I'm going to go to next. Because that man of sin is Esau Edom. I'm going to show you how he's the man of sin. And it's a lot to break down, but I'm just keeping it simple. That doctrine is a false doctrine. Salakia. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day should not come except there be a falling away first. Fell away. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. When you go into this word perdition, it means destruction. And who is the destroyer of this earth? The so-called white man, Edom. And then I can precept that with Malachi chapter 1, verse 3 and 4. The wicked, you know what I'm saying? The board of wickedness, which would be the Edomites. And you precept that with Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So that man of sin is the Edomites. You know what I'm saying? Esau, then, the progenitor of the Edomites. And I'm going to show you how. The man of sin, right? It says LGBT. Read it. Screenshot it. Do I got to say more? Right here. So is blank marriage, is Mo marriage legal in the United States? It says yes. Mo marriage is legal in all 50 United States and all United States territories. That's that man of sin. Let's go here real quick. Right here. It says the phrase if a man lies with a man refers to Leviticus 18 and 22 and Leviticus 20 and 13. In the Bible, a passage that often interpreted as interpreted as a prohibition against moral acts. And that's what that means when you go to Leviticus 18 and 22 and Leviticus 20 and 13. If a man lie with a mankind, that's abomination, detestable. It's a, you can't even put into words. But this devil, the man of sin, actually got the LGBT, right? The Mo marriage legal, right, in the United States. That's just scratching the surface of this devil. That's that man of sin. And it goes on and on. So what you have envisioned and what you've been taught in these movies, this one man is going to pop up on the scene. And they were saying Barack Obama and Donald Trump is the Antichrist. It ain't just one individual person. It's many people against the Messiah. And this whole system is anti-Hamashiach, right? And all you Christians and everybody else. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakat, Kodash. Shalom.